Hey guys, so June here, and today I'm going to be showing you where you can actually find Chernarus in real life, and we're going to be comparing real life areas in Chernarus to its real life places in the Czech Republic to where it is in Chernarus. If you go to the northern border of Czech Republic, bordering Dresden here, and look for Ústí nad Labem, this is where you'll find Chernarus. So you may ask where we're going with this. So let's have a look in, obviously, to the 1:1 scale. So if we go here towards Chudorov, you have what is actually known as Green Mountain, and it's literally called Green Mountain. So what I'll do is I'll start putting obviously on screen, but I think we all know what Green Mountain is. But if you look to the right, you would find that how familiar these look. Because this is here, this one is Pogorevka, and this one's Vigovo. And obviously in between the two is a small house, which is across a bridge. And although there's no bridge here, there is a house. So this here is obviously what you'd find northeast of Green Mountain. And obviously to the right, you've got Polkovo, which is also here. Although it's not obviously a 1:1, but the same layout from each two. Obviously, if you go southwest, you've got what is known as Zelenogorsk, which is probably one of the most common first cities you'll come across once from the coast. Even though this isn't obviously 100% to accuracy, it is still cool to see how familiar and maybe close it is to the actual thing. If you head northwest, you would find what would be Mishkino. And obviously Mishkino tends being over here, but obviously this is a town called Stratsky. And obviously this being, Mishkino. And if you head north, you would find what would be Pushtovska and Vybor. And Vybor, obviously a factory here, that would be obviously Vybor factory, but is Fox Riders Ranch. But as you can see, it's very, very, very close to how Vybor is in game, because obviously it's based off. Obviously we're missing one of the main POI in game, which would be Northwest Airfield here, and obviously on the other side here is Grishino and what would be Devil's Castle up here. And then you've got Zvodno and obviously smaller towns with Severograd up here, and Severograd is looking, well, what's it called, Jilove or Jilivi or whatever, because you've got the train yard here, you've got the apartments up here, you've got this what would be the school around this area with a football pitch, and then you've got the office building here, got what would in the game would be the factory area, got the petrol station here whereas the road bends round, you've got the bridge here and here, and the police station would be here, but obviously this isn't going to be a 1:1 scale. And if you come along, you'll have the tents here, then you have Ratno, and Ratno obviously in here is called Modra. We got Zaprudno barns, and you've, obviously with no civilian barracks or piano house, but you've got what would be a red barn possibly here. If you keep coming round, you head into Novoye Petrovka, and obviously some school or manor here. You'll have the church, which is actually here on this side, with a warehouse or factories there. Got to come down here, you've got the apartment buildings with the barn and the train yard, and then you come round, you've got Topelinki with your industrial up here, because right here would be the warehouse building with a red barn. Let's actually go into ground view and see if that actually is a red barn. Sadly not. But you can see the top of the warehouse there. Quickly exit screen view. And if you came around here, you'll come across a bar building over here. Road coming down to Sinistok, with obviously like a big hill up here, and some buildings that run up to a small house on the northwest side. Now, the main attraction of DayZ on the north would be Tisy, and surprisingly enough, it is actually called Tisy Military Base, although it's not as grand and spanking as you'll find in game, but it is, well, very close. Down here would be a radar area with a tents area here, what would call helipads here, but they're actually radar pads. But yeah, it is a Tisy military base, although it's not a super close resemblance to the game one. This is in fact the real version of Tisy, and based off Teaser or Tisy, which would be here, with obviously campus here. Now, some of the minor things you'll find in the game, obviously this being what would be Kamensk military, probably this being Kamensk itself or up here. One thing I do like to see as close as resemblance as I can, that would be Berezino, Severograd, is Novi Star, Cab. Actually, I think if you'll see Novi to its one-to-one self. If we go to this intersection here, that'll be the church there. It'll look very familiar. With that being the barns, if I turn around, get the house here, that will lead down to the Dedezino camps. This one will run down all the way to the west side towards the Roy. Now, the one thing I like to see, that actually is a house in progress, obviously, big up DPD. There we go. Big red barn there, with these small, obviously, smaller barns. But obviously, it is not as green as it is actually in Chernarus. This is just the real life counterpart where it's based closely off of. Those are actually in-game. There'll be a well on this side here. And obviously, a lot of ruined, destroyed buildings. The church would be here, maybe a market there. But I do like how it looks in-game, in real life. Bit of smart car. That would be the military tents here, with obviously the electrical box here. You'll come across here, past the river, go up here to Cabinino. Got the green mustache on this side. Got the church here, go down. But it is actually called Cabinino, which is kind of cool. That will lead up to Grishino here. And just as icing on the cake, before we stop, this would be Mogilevka and obviously Zub Castle above. And obviously the castle is above. It's all very cool. I do love how closely based off it is. I think you can see Green Mountain in the distance over there. But yeah, when it comes to NWAF, I think the closest you can find to what NWAF would be is an airfield in the distance. I'm not too certain where it is. I'm quickly going to have to hop onto Twitter, onto Mike Doherty's Twitter, and see where it was, because he had found something which is closely based off. Okay, so I'll just quickly check Mike's Twitter, and this here is a airfield which is what I believe to be very familiar to what you can find as NWAF, because if you put it this way, it kind of looks familiar, obviously being an airfield. Now, obviously this isn't one-to-one, but it does look fairly similar with these bunkers here. Obviously you go along, you've got construction that will be here, and you've got this all the way to a hangar which would be here. Now, it's not 100% to scale, because obviously I doubt replicating it would actually mean a whole lot. Pictures on screen. As you can see, these are very, very close. So you've got the bunkers with the opening big doors, with the side entrances, all looking very familiar to what you'd find in game. And well, this is all free to travel. If you ever want to go there, you can literally go or visit these, because it's like a national treasure, because it's all based of Arma 2, which was a major bonus for the Czech Republic and travel around Czech. But yeah, I think that's everything to show you, because obviously you can't exactly replicate this one-to-one. This is all just what we can find and how close it's based off. So if you enjoyed this, show some love. I'll put a link in the description to a site you can use to compare Chernarus to the actual thing. It's all well and good, it's very cool, so enjoy. If you want to travel and see this for yourself, just remember to search up here towards the Dresden border to this area here, Ústí nad Labem, because obviously that's Electro, that's Cherno, run along, yeah. Anyway, enjoy.